Beyond.
Beyond.
Yeah.
You can go with that.
Oh,
if you
sorry,
want.
it's on the screen behind you. Beyond.
Yeah.
Beyond.
Yeah, he likes to do this. You having fun over there, Brian? You done?
Is anyone going to help me?
You done?
Nope.
No. Good. You're done. You're finished. Brian's done.
Brian's
Beyond.
upset because last week he went to go get water before the episode started, and we just started it without him.
Yeah.
And then
Why
he
did you
walked
do
into
that?
he walked in the room, and we were like 2 minutes
annoying.
into the episode. Yeah, he's
I
kind
came
of
in like a
Everyone's
wrecking ball.
shouting.
I don't
yeah,
care.
you came in like an overplayed Miley Cyrus song.
Okay,
Everyone's sick of you.
excuse
Actually,
me.
that's-
I'm always.
that's a
I had
real
to
good
work
song.
with Greg Miller for like 6
Loud,
years. That's why I'm
naked
always
man.
very loud. You know how loud that man is? It's like basically
he's real
working
loud.
with a truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a real nice man truck.
Trucks are great. Anyway, welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 430. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Marty Sleva.
Hi, Max.
Brian Altano.
Hi.
And from the UK team, Daniel Krupa.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're in town for Cocoa, which is it's a warm chocolate drink that we have once a year here at IGN.
Yeah, it's great. We probably spend too much budget flying people internationally
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
for that sole reason.
Just to share
But I
chocolate
like
water.
it. I think it's a nice initiative.
Yeah, we're doing kind of just a big office team meeting type thing. So
Yeah, it's a content conference.
Yeah, content
Oh,
conference.
the Coco.
You never knew that?
Yeah, I absolutely knew that.
Yeah, we call it Coco. It's a weird nickname. Sounds like a someone who'd be singing on a piano in a.
It was the name of that monkey who learned how to speak.
It's actually
Coco's chimp.
it's Ice-T's wife, you heathens.
Yeah.
Get it together.
All right. So anyway, this is a podcast where we sometimes talk about games. I
It's
guess
true.
PlayStation games to be specific.
Yes.
And inaccurate. What's going on? There's a lot of games that are actually coming out. Let's start out with Firewatch.
Yeah. Krupa, did you play this?
Yeah, I played it all in one sitting on Saturday night.
Nice.
And it took me about 4 hours.
Yeah.
I actually texted Mitch. I was like, how long is this going to take me? Because I kind of wanted to do it in one sitting if I could. And I think that's actually a really nice way of experiencing it.
Yeah.
Which is, I actually really, I kind of love that one sitting game better than the 2 or 3 sitting game. Like I tried to play Oxenfree, and it's like 5 or 6 hours, which you could do in one sitting if you're just like, you feel like getting a little gross with your
You're
body.
going to get a
for
real
little
hard
while.
sit, though. You're going to get those weird sit sores.
That's a long sit.
Yeah.
So, did you take your time playing it, Krupa, or was it sort of?
I didn't really explore all that much. I kind of just wanted to power through the story, even though there's not that much exploration to do. But
Right.
there are probably little bits where you can go off on tangents. And it just felt like it was like a really compelling novella where I just really wanted just to get through it. And
Yeah.
I
sounds
think
great.
you would have benefited from breaking and having some of the suspense build and left almost like lost to theorize what was actually going on. Whereas I was kind of having what was going on resolved for me pretty quickly because I was going straight back into it.
Yeah.
So it's a one sitting game, but you wanted it to be a 2 sitting game.
You could have made it a
I
2-sitting
could've
game
done.
by standing up. You could have defied the seat
Now,
gods.
this is one of those games that I really have tried to kind of avoid it. Like, I don't want to know a whole lot about it. I've seen bits and pieces. It looks incredible.
You shouldn't listen to this episode because we're about to talk about it.
Oh, great. Okay.
We're not going to spoil it.
No, we're not going to spoil
Yeah.
it. We have a full, by the time this goes up, probably 2 days later, on Friday, whatever day that is, Mitch and I actually sat down with 4 members of Campo Santo and did a 90-minute spoiler cast in this room. There were 6 of us. It got real sweaty.
That sounds like a real Firewatch.
Oh, it was a real Firewatch. We took
fire.
our shirts off. We made our own content conference.
So interesting. You discussed the story of the game with the people that made the game.
Yes, and they, like Sean Vanneman, who is the creative director and writer on the game, literally learns that there was an Easter egg in the game about his childhood that he had no idea they put in there. Like,
He didn't know that about his own childhood, or that
no,
the
he didn't
Easter-
know that they put this thing in the game.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and he found out like during the spoiler cast and flipped out.
I thought he underwent secret hypnotherapy or something,
No.
and they found some little nugget in his mind.
Now, so without spoiling stuff, this is a game where you are a park ranger and there's a bear going around stealing picnic baskets, and you've got to get him.
No, you're thinking of the hit novel Yogi Bear.
Yes.
It's 2 bears. There's Yogi and Boo Boo. A lot of people forget about Boo Boo.
Yeah,
That's
the-
he's
it's
really second bear.
A lot of it charm derives from the interplay between
Exactly.
the two.
Yeah.
He's the brains of the operation. A lot of people don't know that.
Fascinating. And they're not in this
Your
game at all.
accent got really weird there. He's the brains of the operation. Not a lot of people know that. No, so Firewatch is we've been covering this for the last 2 years. It's a first-person exploration wandering game. Narrative-driven, much like Gone Home. But yeah, you play a park ranger, and the first 10 minutes of the game are sort of about why you take this job in Wyoming over the course of a summer in the 80s. Amazing first 10 minutes.
Really effectively
Yeah,
done.
we don't want to spoil it or anything, but it's
Cool.
super
We
powerful.
we put the first 10 minutes of the game up.
We didn't put that, though.
Oh, really?
There's a prologue that I don't think we put up like per their request.
So IGN lied to me?
Yeah, IGN definitely lied to you.
Damn
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Now this game was an IGN first a while back.
Yeah.
And we put up what was told to be the first 10 minutes, which apparently is not.
Throw me under the bus.
Was that you?
Yeah, that was
Oh,
definitely.
good. Now, I'm going to throw you. I'm going to hit you in the face.
No, it's funny because if I put the first, I think I put the first 24 minutes and more people clicked it.
Oh, so you lied.
I did lie.
Clickbait is what they call it.
What is happening?
No, it's fine.
Okay, you've based your career on clickbait.
That's not true, and
That
I'll
is
give you
absolutely
52
true.
reasons why it's not true. Anyway,
I won't believe why it's not true.
your doctor doesn't
When I
want to
find out,
know
it'll
this.
blow my mind.
The art in the game is by Ali Moss, who's the incredible artist that you might know from. He did the Resistance 3 cover, all sorts of rad Star Wars posters, and just all
He's
around.
doing all the new Harry Potter covers.
Yeah.
Really?
Just been the adult edition.
Oh, that's awesome.
He played Harry Potter in the
Are those
third
official?
movie.
Because I know he was.
Yeah, they're official. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought he was just
They're
like kicking
brilliant.
those around.
Like the thing he kind of is really well known for is he does amazing visual puns.
Yeah.
And you look at every cover of the new Harry Potter books, and you see it as face value, and then you look for 5 more seconds, and you see something, and you go, oh, it's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he does really good work with like silhouettes almost, where
Yep.
it's like
He did a whole book based on
Yeah.
That book came about because he came to the IGN Christmas party in London, and we connected him with a publisher.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say you guys did like shadow puppets on that.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm into that.
We introduced him to Silhouette.
The core concept of shadows on a
This is
wall.
a
on
rabbit,
a rice
and this
paper
is a
screen,
dog.
and he was very confused. And we explained the entire concept
Yeah.
of light coming from behind something and obscuring its visuals.
It was really the making of him as an artist.
He didn't. Who was it that borrowed his art or ripped his art off a couple of years ago?
Lots of people, yeah. Like
Yeah.
the thing he did once, I think it was maybe a T-shirt he did for Threadless once. Is the "Keep Calm, Don't Panic."
Yeah.
Right.
And that's like now everywhere.
Oh, that was
The
him?
Star Wars posters got
Yeah.
ripped off everywhere.
Yeah.
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 He also did the cover of the soundtrack. The soundtrack's by Chris Remo, who worked at Double Fine for a while, and he did the soundtrack
did
for
the
30
sound-
Fights of Love
And Gone Home.
And Gone Home.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cover of the soundtrack's amazing because it's this like orange background. Orange is sort of the primary color in the game. A lot of things take place at sundown. But you see the silhouettes of trees, but then there's a reflection beneath them, and it just looks like sound waves. And like the entire thing looks so gorgeous.
Wow.
Yeah. Super cool. Yeah, the story's really great. The writing's fantastic. The cast is
performances
amazing.
are fantastic as well.
The main character is what's the actor's name?
Harry Crane from Mad
Mad
Men.
Men.
Richard Summers, I believe.
Yep.
Rich
Yep.
Summers. Yeah, really great. It's one of those games that it was 2 years in the making, but I think totally worth it. And
Cool.
Something that
how much
is it?
expectations. $20. I think it's on sale this week for 18.
Nice.
Sweet.
So, does it feel like there is stuff to explore? Like, do you feel like it's kind of a environment to really poke around in, or does it feel kind of more like you're going from point A to point B to point C and so forth?
I think so. It's structured around days. So you're working this job all summer long, and it'll be like day 1, day 2, and then there might be jumps in time a little bit. And each day is kind of structured about going to check something out, or doing a job, or investigating something. But there are kind of detours on the way. Probably one of the mechanics it utilizes least is like you can create shortcuts, but there's not all that much use for them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Until late
yeah,
on.
and there's like bare minimum Metroidvania kind of things where you get tools like you get an axe to chop down little paths and ropes to be able to climb down.
That's
Ropes,
more
huh?
about
Yeah, ropes. You
Cool.
can shoot all sorts of ropes. We talk about ropes a lot on the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's weird. it's not like the actual ropes, but it's more.
You don't have to, whatever you're doing with your hand, you don't have
Okay.
to do that anymore.
Sorry.
So I actually heard a fun piece of trivia. I'm pals with one of the guys who worked on this, William, who works at Campo Santo. And he was telling me, I don't think this is a secret. The game's out. It doesn't matter. But he told me that they were testing out wildlife because you're in the woods and there's animals running around and stuff. And he told me that there are raccoons in the game.
Yes,
Are there?
are raccoons, and they hide in specific places.
Right. Well, apparently before they
Inside
had
the bears.
they had the art,
Entirely news to me.
Yeah.
before they had the art for the raccoons. They had these cubes that had JPEG images of like raccoons just wrapped around them.
That sounds amazing.
So like you'd be walking through this
Raccoons.
beautiful raccoons. Yeah, you'd be walking around, you'd see this beautiful forest, and then there'd be this kind of like placeholder art where this cube of a with a picture of a raccoon comes out and then runs up the side of a tree. And I just love how totally I wish that had been left in there. Like I wish
Yeah.
we could see more kind of unfinished stuff in games.
Yeah.
I love that.
Man.
So that's my behind the scenes look at
Yeah,
what
look
it's
for
like when raccoons
find the raccoons. The second scariest raccoon of the year after Until Dawn. That was a real scary raccoon.
Now,
Damn it, I didn't know there was
Cooper,
a
you played
raccoon
through the
in
whole
that
game
game.
but didn't see raccoons?
I didn't see one raccoon.
Yeah, the raccoon is off the
whatsoever.
beaten path. There's also deer that are off the beaten path.
Oh, interesting.
So you got to go walk around the woods and look for raccoons and raccoons.
Stop saying raccoons. That's
I think
not
it's a
thing.
pretty good
I mean, it's a
term,
cool
though.
term.
I like
it just
that.
doesn't make sense.
Okay, so let's talk about Unravel. It's a game where there's a yarn man, and everyone apparently hates it on the internet.
Why does everyone hate the
I don't
Yarny?
know. Everyone hates Yarny.
This is one of the sort of widest spectrums of review scores I've seen for a game in quite a while. It's gotten down to like the 60s and then up to the hundreds. I know Destructoid gave it a perfect score. What did we give it?
8.3.
8.3. That was you, right?
Yeah.
Nice work.
I actually haven't seen any other reviews, so I didn't know that was the case.
That's a good thing, I
kind of
think.
see why it would be divisive. I think it's where you fall down on kind of the tone it's going for. Like, I think it's on the right side of sincere. I don't think it descends into being overly schmaltzy or maudlin, but I can see how you could think that. There isn't a narrative as such. You are this little man made from yarn that you assume is a childhood toy, and the
How
kind
you know
of
that's a man?
yeah, no, fair point.
Could just
fair
be
point.
like a yarn baby.
Well, babies are men.
Babies are not
Yeah,
Babies are
there's that movie-
specifically not men.
Did you ever see? Did you ever see the movie?
Very specific.
You've never seen the Alfonso Cuarón movie Babies of Men?
I've seen the first 5 minutes of Roger Rabbit when a baby becomes a man.
Specifically an R&B group about how there's a difference between babies and men and
Yes.
boys.
They don't mention that Boys to Men doesn't.
There was a
talk about babies.
there's a prequel
Babies to
to
Boys.
Boys to Men. It was exactly.
Babies to
Yeah.
Boys.
Babies
There's
to
a
Boys.
Boys to Men Junior 2.
Uh-huh.
Babies
Yeah.
to Boys.
I saw someone tweet out, do you think they should put a bar mitzvah in between Nicole Kidman's last name? Because that's what happens when a kid becomes a man.
That's true.
That's
very
the
good.
stupidest sentence I've heard today.
That's very hard.
awesome.
And he's been
I'm
working with me all
I'm
day.
way too jet lagged to process.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. We've got two very sleep deprived people here. You're jet lagged, and Marty, you pulled an all nighter.
Yeah.
Oh, weirdo.
That was a
Dummies.
weirdo.
All right.
So for context,
Unravel.
this is a EA game,
It's an EA game.
which we were kind of surprised to see as part of their press conference because usually
Very-
they come out guns blazing and there's sports and Pele, I believe.
And a
I
hoop-
actually
and
got
a
an
hoop
email.
god.
Hoop God.
The IGN UK podcast got an email about how a lot of the American podcasts pronounce it as Pele.
Yeah, what's his name?
Pele?
Pele?
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks. We talk about Pele about.
I know how
45
much you enjoyed that E3, that
Yeah.
substantial interview with him.
I took
and
a
other
real
press-
hot
Yeah.
nap halfway through that.
I actually think this might be the first time in very long time that we've actually even said that dude's name.
If
like,
you
on
say it
the
one more
show.
I
time,
think
he's
it's a
going to come
lot. They've
through.
been saying it a lot.
Yeah.
How do you guys pronounce Hoop God?
Is this?
That's
No,
not
do you
a
remember-
trick
do you
question.
remember
I
Hoop
do
God?
reckon. Yeah.
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 He was. I don't remember that. I remember that E3. I don't remember ever hearing his name before or after. So anyway, this is a platforming game, right?
It's
and
a kind of puzzle, physics-based puzzles, platformer. I think the platforming is the weakest aspect of it.
Really?
Yeah, it's not really much of a platformer, and the platforming section is probably the most frustrating because it's very easy to die on your first playthrough, even if you're good at platforming in general. It's more kind of like, he like slips off platforms quite easily.
Interesting.
What I really like about it is kind of the setting it takes you on. Like, even though he's quite a cartoony looking character, he walks through these kind of almost hyper realistic landscapes, and it manipulates perspective in a really intelligent way. So it's kind of looking at the bottom of like the forest floor, or you're walking across a road and you're walking through every like pothole, and it's incredibly detailed, and you're seeing it from this like very small perspective, and it kind of increases your appreciation of those environments because you're seeing it like it's a little bit like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids,
Which
or
is like
something.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Like being able to be like, is that a Miss Debbie, Little Debbie oatmeal pie or whatever? That I can, so big I can climb inside it. Is that a Lego I could live in? I love stuff like that.
Why?
I don't know. It's just real cool seeing things that I love, but gigantic version.
Just do a real hot toke before you came
And
in
you,
here.
no, you can ride on an ant. It's a great film. It's a good movie. Sorry. Hey,
Okay.
everybody.
So you're the yarn man, and you go through potholes in the street and the road and so forth.
Okay, so he says dumb things. Nobody laughs. When I say it, it's like a big deal.
Yeah,
All right, fine, fair enough.
that's how it works.
That's not how it works.
So doesn't he? He got like he's got little tiny
Yeah,
ropes
he's
and
got-
stuff he
he-
throws around. Yeah?
Stop talking about throwing ropes.
He does. Like I can see why you put this on here. He is basically made out of a little red rope. So he can unravel. So when you're walking across the level, you're slowly unraveling yourself.
What's underneath?
It's a little wire frame, and it's like,
Child-
really?
It's a child
Oh,
skeleton.
It
really?
kind of looks a bit like that. So you can.
A child skeleton.
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's a child skeleton that this family is hidden within wall. Like the opening scene is this grandma walking upstairs.
Yeah.
And like this thing drops down. Yeah, maybe that's it.
And it's a yarn
I actually
ball?
couldn't work out what the story. It's probably that. Probably
Wow.
It's a woolly little
child
mummy.
Murder.
Woolly baby mummy.
Am I crazy, or are there like ghost teens in the background of this game?
So the kind of the hub for the game is you're in this like nice, very twee living house.
Yeah.
This old woman's house, and you can access memories through photographs. Again, that has the potential to be quite, schmaltzy. And you go through back to these memories, these times of childhood. So whether you're exploring a forest or a day at the beach, And in the background, I think the metaphor is meant to be Yarny connects all these memories together. He is the thread of memory or whatever. So in the background, you see these kind of ghost-like apparitions that resolve into some degree of clarity when Yarny walks past. So I think it's about having some kind of connection to past memories.
That's so weird because it's like when we first saw this game at E3, I'm like, oh, it's an adorable little puzzle platformer. I didn't know it was like this ghost baby connected things through ropes.
And it's one of them in the middle section of the game, even though these early memories are like, oh, a day at the beach, a day in the forest. There's these scenes where it's kind of like, it's kind of contemplating the ill effects of industrialization, and you're walking through like a factory, and in the background you see people getting laid off or protesters who were like protesting against the mine being built. You're like, why does this old woman have this photograph in her house?
Yeah.
She's a mine enthusiast.
It came with a picture frame. Yeah. It's really depressing picture frames.
That's so weird. So Yarny's just walking by this like factory dispute where people are losing their jobs.
Yeah,
and
and he's walking through these kind of abandoned offices, and on the floor there's loads of cockroaches that can eat him.
Oh, no.
Yarny has to fight cockroaches? I didn't know cockroaches ate yarn
Well,
people.
they want the child bones.
Bone, yeah.
That's
they're
true.
core.
That delicious
cockroaches
baby
love
meat.
child
You can smell
marrow.
Those baby wings underneath
Suck out
all
the
that
marrow.
rope.
So I think this is what we're talking about is a lot of people have been like, there's been like a little bit of like negative feedback about this. Like people have been like sort of complaining that this seems disingenuous almost.
I feel like part
How
of it.
so?
I feel like part of it is the internet's weird fascination with hating EA.
Yeah,
with
that's
it being like the idea that EA can be voted the worst corporation in the world is baffling to me. When there are corporations that are literally ruining the world.
Yeah, like I read that article while I was on hold with Comcast for an hour and 45 minutes. So no.
When I meant
Wrong.
literally ruining the world, I did not mean Comcast either.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know I feel like that's part of it.
Yeah, like EA's been like, man, our DLC's pretty expensive, and another company's like, hey, we just killed 10,000 ducks with oil. Oops, our boat blew up, and someone else is like, yeah, but what about that season pass? Like,
EA did make that mobile game about drowning pelicans.
that's true.
That's a good one though.
No, but I talked about this with Battlefront, where I was like, okay, this game has some problems, but I think that the biggest one is that it says EA on the box, and just right out the gate, it's just
a huge disconnection between seeing that publisher ident and this type of game. But it's made by a small Scandinavian team, and I've met the director who came into our office the other week. And at the end of the game, there's a picture of the small development team. I don't doubt that they're trying to make a very earnest game. You've made that ending of that game even more sad now.
Yeah. Well, that's the ending of most video game teams.
Yeah, but I mean,
this is the last time we'll ever be happy.
I remember him on stage last year at E3, and like he was like nervous, and his voice was cracking. He was shaking.
It was
like there's a human on stage.
Yeah.
Like holy moly, we don't get those that
It's
often.
It's kind of weird because this
There's a man underneath all that yarn.
This does feel like it was his child skeleton.
Why did you say that?
I meant like him as a child. He
No.
grew up. I didn't mean it like that. That's horrible.
No.
That's really scary now and awful. I ruined everything. Anyway,
it's
I
not
was
a
going to
classic
say.
thing. Like if you want to hide or obscure a piece of evidence, you hide it in plain sight.
Yeah.
So just wrap it in red.
Yeah.
That was an old like
respect.
Arthur Conan Doyle trick, right?
It's like those weird, those plastic
above the
dogs made of
fireplace.
cocaine and traffic that they kept bringing up from Mexico.
Exactly.
I don't know how I went there.
No,
with
but
that.
I'm all for like if EA has to humanize themselves a little bit by doing some weird sort of quirky games like this for a little while. That's totally cool. I mean, it worked for Ubisoft for a while.
Yeah, with
there,
stuff
right?
like Child of Light,
Yep.
Child of Light, and Valiant Hearts. Yeah,
Even like their Rayman games are like, they're not indie games by any stretch, but they sure look like them. They have just gorgeous painterly art style, and you can't walk into them being like, this is typical Ubisoft ripping off everybody. It's like, no, it's just a dude with no arms and his friend.
I mean, they couldn't even afford. They didn't have the budget for full arms
limbs.
and limbs.
Yeah. That was
That's crazy.
Technical, just ran out at the last
Michel
minute.
Ancel didn't have enough money to put an H in his name and be a Michael. It's a true story. Yeah.
It's coming next year in the season pass.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. So, Yarny, the verdict. You liked it?
Yeah, and also I keep calling it Yarny.
Yarny,
Everyone in
Unravel.
I know.
Unravel,
Like, everyone in
Unravel.
our- They should have just called it Yarny.
They should have called it
Yeah.
Yarny.
Everyone in our office was just calling it Yarny.
They said
all week
he's
long.
not referred to as Yarny at all in the game. Someone told me that.
Well, then why are we calling
There's
him
no
that?
dialogue.
Yeah.
They must have introduced him as Yarny.
They did.
no,
They
they did.
did
Yeah.
back at E3. Yeah,
So that's Unravel canon.
that is. Yeah,
Okay, I want to know this.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
it's a cannon full of child bones.
What is wrong with you? Man, we are taking turns being awful and scolding each other. Not you, Krupa. You're doing great, by the way. I just want to say you're doing
So it's more than one child now.
You want to talk about some pet skeletons too? Or
No.
no. Pet ashes are really more where it's at. for getting sad.
Okay,
here.
really?
Yeah.
Really, you want to drag this back into the pits of hell?
Sorry, all right?
Okay, that's fine.
All right, fine. So, yeah, I mean, it seems like a cute game. I'm, aside from all the morose, cryptic, terrifying nightmare material in there.
How long?
Everybody's in a weird place right now.
How long? Yeah, I'm very tired. I'm still sort of drunk. How long did it take you to?
It's like 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is week of the shorties.
Did you find the Racubes?
Are there any raccoons in the game?
Not to my recollection. There's a pretty good crab, good cockroach.
Okay.
I don't like either
What
of those
other
animals.
animals are in
It's
this
a
game?
pretty good crab. That's what I like
It's
to hear
pretty good.
about the game.
I liked him. Maybe not for everyone. Like,
Fans of the crab genre are gonna love Unravel.
Would you say that he's a giant enemy crab or like a regular-sized enemy crab? Is he an enemy?
relative
on-
to Yarny, he's pretty big.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on real life military battles.
Okay.
This is $20 or whatever. What I don't know what money
Yes.
do you use?
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
something
20
like that.
20 euros, pounds,
£15.
It's a
Sounds like
miniature
right.
game.
ruples.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rube.
Bunch of coins. You shove them in your Xbox or PlayStation machine, and the game comes out on the TV.
Mom, my Xbox is broke. I put too many coins in it.
Oh boy. Okay, Onimusha might be coming back. This is coming by way. This is, I guess, Capcom higher up said that they're talking at high levels about resurrecting Onimusha.
Yeah, we haven't seen
That's not a thing you just tease.
That's kind of weird to not announce that in like a official form. That's kind of like
Yeah.
an odd, like, yeah.
Well, it happens every now and then, and it's super weird especially when it comes out of Japanese game dev because they're so controlled and so tight-lipped on stuff,
But Ono is like an exception to that because he's
Yes.
a real weird guy who dresses up as Blanca and says whatever he wants.
and brings a little Blanca with him everywhere. Yeah. But there was, I think it was like a year ago, Miyamoto was in an interview and he was just like, "Yeah, we're making Pikmin 4. All right, bye." And people were like, "What?" And he just left. And this is like the same kind of thing where it's just like, "Yeah, we'd love to make another Onimusha."
Was the last one the one that was with Jean Reno? Remember that one?
I think so. It's been a very long time.
I mean, it's been. I don't think it was ever. I think it skipped an entire generation. It was never
Yeah.
on PS3.
Well, Onimusha was one of those things where you just assumed it would be there with you forever, and then they just stopped making them. It's
Yeah.
like the Dino Crisis games. You're like,
So-
we're gonna get one of these every year.
Yeah,
Nope.
I literally have that written down of series like, especially Capcom series. Like they hedged their bets on Resident Evil.
Yeah.
which is now in that whatever weird limbo it's in now. But like stuff like Dino Crisis was left at the wayside.
Yep.
Stuff like Onimusha, and I sort of miss. I want Dino Crisis. I want a cool dinosaur
Dude,
game.
if we want to talk about a Capcom franchise that I would love to see come back, Beautiful Joe.
yeah, seriously.
Beautiful Joe was phenomenal. Did
Yeah.
you guys play that?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
played
Did you play it?
yeah.
I mean, it's just like it's weird to me because I think they put him. Did they put him in a couple fighting games here and there? Like he made weird appearances. and
He's
little-
in,
Yeah.
he's in MVC. Yeah.
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 But other than that, I mean, there was Beautiful Joe 1 and 2. There was a DS game, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like that's just a weird thing to do with a character that was so awesome. His whole like kind of like rewind, fast forward, bullet time thing that he could do. Like it's just such a great idea for a character. The art direction was awesome. Like comic book movies are bigger than ever now. Like do something with that art style. Make an awesome like 2.5D platforming game.
Yeah, and that
Bring it
was Clover and Kamiya.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Like that was. I think he did that before he did Okami, and so like I imagine Capcom still has the rights, but like Capcom's just in that weird place where they keep giving us old Mega Man games and they keep giving us Resident Evil 0 again, which no one wants because that game's dumb and it takes place on a train. And that game has a lot of big cockroaches too. A lot of big
A lot of
cockroaches.
slime on the roof.
A lot of
too,
slime
right?
on the roof.
Yeah,
of
there's a lot
train.
of the weird like little sperm sludges or whatever they are.
It's the official term.
And it's not a crab, but what is that? It's a scorpion you fight up there. A lot of weird animals in that
I mean,
game.
Scorpion's just a crab with a long tail that goes above its head.
That's
yeah,
not,
you
it's
can hang a jingle bell from.
not true.
Very
That's
true.
100% true. You don't know anything about
You ever see that
crabs.
Christmas scorpion that has a mistletoe instead of a tail? You got to go kiss it.
Yeah.
What?
Have you ever kissed a scorpion?
I just made that up. Christmas time scorpion.
That's not true at all. Anyway, yeah, this is good news. I think that Capcom they're in such a weird spot right now where they're like totally getting it in a lot of ways, and then totally leaving a lot of fans behind in other ways. I mean, they're sitting on so many classic franchises they're not really doing anything with. Mega Man being one of them.
I really wish they just farmed them out to like smaller studios. Like I think it would be so cool to see a Western developer tackle Dino Crisis. Just make a dinosaur survival horror in, running in Unreal or whatever. And just I don't know.
They've flirted with that idea in the past. That they gave DMC to Ninja Theory.
Yeah, that's right.
In the UK
Yeah.
and like trying to start that initiative. And then what was the kind of really bad cover-based shooter Resident Evil game?
Oh,
Raccoon
God.
City.
Wait, that game's not even out yet, right? You
Which
played that
one?
game at TGS.
I played.
There was one a couple of years ago.
There's-
I played
yeah, it
one
was-
at Comic-Con, which is the new one, which is the
Operation Raccoon City though, but there was the one that was it was third person shooter, and now there's a
Yeah.
first person shooter that's
Yeah.
I don't know any
Umbrella
of those.
Corps or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Isn't Capcom... A Capcom studio did that Kitchen VR demo? Did I make that up?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the last thing I played, which I don't know if that's going to... We talked about this on the show. It's one of the PSVR demos. And it's sort of non-interactive. You're a dude tied up in a chair. You wake up in a really creepy room, and a scary devil lady comes in
Awful.
and stabs people.
Just awful.
And then she's behind you, and she slits your throat. It's really
So
bad.
awful.
It's not good.
So awful.
But it's real spooky.
It's not spooky. It's just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Mhm.
It's like when you go to a haunted house and someone just gets in your personal space and you're like,
Devil lady.
I don't want it. I know you're not gonna kill me. It's just sort of like you're just there. I don't know.
Side note: I really love that internet gallery that was going around like 2 years ago of all those people in the haunted house. And there's this one point where you like turn a corner and there's this fake car that comes at you, and they take a picture of you. So there's just like this gallery of just hundreds of people being like, "Ah!" "Oh, it's fine." It's great.
There was just like they're not even like proper like reactions of terror. They're like these weird little constipated recoil things
Yeah.
where they just look like
It's really
people
awkward.
with like weird like
and
they
it's
just
generally like grabbing a loved one and like trying
Yep.
to
Yeah.
use them as a shield.
yep.
Side note: what if, when Mighty Number 9 was announced, we had known and someone had gone over to Capcom and been like, "Hey, this game's going to get delayed for like 3 years, so you can put out Mega Man 11, 12, and 13 in that same amount of time." Do you think they would have done anything with that information?
I mean, maybe. I don't know what they're doing now.
Because I don't know what anybody's doing. Because now we have they aren't making any dedicated new Mega Man games, and Mighty Number 9 is taking half a decade to come out. So we just have nothing. There was a universe where we had both of those things, and now we have none.
Yeah, that's like that whole we had jobs and we had cash and we had whatever, and now
Hope.
we don't. And
Hope, jobs, and cash.
and now we don't.
Yeah, we don't have. Because
Stop.
Those are named after people who
Awful.
all died.
Yeah, they passed away.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
those
Mighty
child
Number 9
bones.
is just a real. It's. I mean, Capcom is such a big kind of question mark thing right now. Like, what
Yeah.
what are they doing? We can talk a little bit about that. Kind of on a positive note about Capcom properties. Brian and I have been doing this thing, IGN special thing with a couple of fighting game expert men.
Yep.
And we've been playing Street Fighter V, and they've basically teaching us how not to completely suck at playing Street Fighter. We've been playing with Mike Ross and
Peter
Combo
Rosas,
Fiend. Peter
yeah.
Rosas, yeah.
So, it's for reference. The name of the series is Grudge Match, and Max and I have not really played. We've played fighting games since the 90s, but we've always played them just like mash the buttons, try to do the combos. Okay, goodbye. Hope I did the best. And when two people fight against each other like that, you walk in the room and you're like, they look like they're having seizures. But to us, we think we're having a good time. We're figuring it out. It's like the monkeys on a typewriter thing, where after like 1,000 years, one of them can do a Hadouken. That was our skill level in Street Fighter, and we're doing this series where 2 pro players came in to actually sit down with us and coach us. We each have one, and little by little, week by week, they're teaching us new things, and we're starting to get good at the game, and it's been totally just enlightening.
We did
and-
not expect this to happen.
Are you
No.
actually
I mean,
getting
we
good?
were kind of going to sort of, fake it either way and be like, yeah, we're having a good time and learning, but honestly, like, we're learning. So it's kind
Yeah.
of, it's been kind of a treat.
And it's been really weird because I went from going like, this is a part of video games that I understand, and I understand the culture behind it. And when I see a guy wearing a Ryu shirt, or I'm in Tokyo and there's like Dalsim stuff in the vending machines, I'm like, I get it. I get what this culture is all about. When there's like huge people coming together, like the first press event I ever worked for IGN was the Street Fighter 4 championships here in San Francisco at the Fort Mason Pavilion area, and I came up and they brought me to the front of the line, and I was like, "Ooh, I got my IGN press pass," and I went in, and there was just a giant airplane hangar full of people screaming at this television as 2 people fought on screen, and I was like, I kind of get this. Like, this is like video game boxing matches, like this is really cool. But I didn't understand the intricacies of what they were doing, and I knew people were sort of like pulling off moves and stuff like that and trying to fight each other. I never really got it, and now we're sort of like, I'm learning what punch or kick to throw depending on what distance
Yeah.
I am from Max.
It's-
I'm learning like when to block and when to parry, when to throw, when
Yeah.
to like I didn't know how to walk backwards without jumping in the air. Little things like that, and I'm suddenly growing this tremendous respect for the fighting game community. Now it's never something that I'll be able to like compete in professionally, but it'll be something where I can be like, I kind of get that.
Yeah.
You know? Where
No,
you
I'm
go
actually.
to-
It's weird because I kind of want to check out Evo this year and
Yeah.
just sort of actually try to track what's going on. And I mean, I know there's always kind of those fine line kind of differences between fighting games, and everyone has their different style. And like, Street Fighter, I guess, is kind of the classic. I feel like.
Yeah.
Are you both learning specific characters?
More or less.
I'm learning with Cammy for the most part because I had jumped in with a couple others and they were like, those are actually kind of like expert level, like high level characters. Like there's complexity to the characters. Again, that's not something I really understood.
Yeah,
thought
I always
it
was just sort of like, I like the green werewolf. I'll play as him.
Yeah, I figured they all just had their own version of Hadoukens and Yoga Flames and stuff like that, but it's really not the case. So Cammy is pretty entry level, and she's one of the quickest characters in the game. So like it's pretty forgiving to get beat up and jump back out there, whereas some of the bigger guys are like, you sure you want to throw that punch? Because it's going to take a minute, and you're going to have to really think about what happens if that doesn't land. So, yeah, it's been really cool. Check out the series on IGN. I think we just put up the second episode. It's called Street Fighter Grudge Match.
Yeah.
We're doing 8 episodes total, so by the end of this, we're probably going to be pretty awesome at this game.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about it, though, is that we're working with these 2 pros, and they actually have kind of a grudge in real life where they've been fighting against each other for years.
Yeah, they've been pals since 2001, and they've always been sort of like.
So since Max and I are idiots, we're like, all right, if they're going to teach us how to play for real, we're going to teach them how to play with stupid caveats. So we got these huge cartoon Ryu gloves.
Yeah,
right?
they were selling those at PAX. They're awesome.
So we had these guys fight each other while wearing the gloves to see how well they could do. Spoilers, it's not very well at all because that's kind of a two-handed game. Speaking of which, we also had them play the game with one hand on big actual Mad Catz fight sticks. So they all had their styles where they would hold onto the joystick with 2 fingers and then tap the buttons with their thumbs, which is so hard to do.
And then we blindfolded them, and
Yep.
and they're playing with no audio from the game, so they can't even use that as
Yep.
cues. And
Yep.
we're like sort of trying. We're like, he's kicking you. Jump away. Go up or down or whichever. You know.
Peter Combo Fiend has actually done. It's his legal name, by the way. His parents knew he was going to be a Street Fighter.
He had no choice.
No choice at all. He had to become this. He's actually done this in tournaments before, where he's gone up and just using audio cues was able to win. But this time we even took away the audio. So yeah, it's been super fascinating, and it's just like, I don't know. I mean, like we cover so many games here, and it's impossible for us to be experts on even any of them because the second a game is out, somebody's playing it for 25 hours a day, and we're doing shows like this. So it's been really cool to look into a pocket of gaming that I've always sort of respected but never fully understood.
So
and
you
kind of
guys,
been like, I get it.
I'm going to fight each other till the very end. Are you fighting every week to gauge your progress?
We're fighting each other to the very end, and I think it might end with us going online and fighting some
Just getting beat up by 12-year-olds.
Yeah, regular old professional Street Fighter players out there in the wild.
Are you guys
so,
going to actually fight?
Yeah.
We're going to go out in the parking lot. We're going to punch each other right in the face.
You could beat up a car like in that cool mini game.
Yeah.
I mean, I really wish you could do that. I don't know if that's in there anymore.
Good tip on that. A pick Dalcine, because then you don't have to jump over to the other side. You can just
That's
punch
true.
from the side.
That's true.
Remember
That's-
that?
Yeah,
That's very
that
good.
man's got long arms.
Another good tip is never park your car in
I
that
like
game.
that yoga move where you punch a car to death. It's very popular.
Yeah.
They teach that over at the studio down the street.
Yeah.
That's a child's pose
All those,
or
all
downward
those moms
dog.
coming out of there with their
Child's
yoga
bones
mats.
pose.
Yeah.
So yeah, go check that out.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's some cool stuff coming to PS4 and Vita and so forth. Screen Sheet is coming to PS4. This is that local co-op shooter, or not co-op shooter, local competitive shooter where you have to look at each other's screens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a nice throwback to playing GoldenEye with assholes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're playing, and it's for PC. It was split screen, 4 players. You're playing on the same monitor, and you're in these small arenas. But the thing is, so you can see your weapon and everything, but all of the players are invisible. And so you are looking at other people's screens and being like, oh, they're by the staircase near, like the way the levels are laid out are heavily like color based.
Yeah.
So like you're in the red area by the staircase. And so you're looking, and so I start firing near the staircase in the red area, hoping that I hit Max, who I know is running up it.
It's really fascinating.
Super fun, super weird. I like
Yeah.
that they took this bizarre sort of method of cheating that
Yep.
everyone did
Yep.
and created an entire game based around that mechanic.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to call it cheating too, because I think it like I got to the level of play in GoldenEye where I was like I was in college in New York City, and kids from other schools would come up, and we'd be like, "We're crushing you." Like I was that good, where it was like anybody who came in was getting just housed. Like we knew where to put all the proximity mines, so that every time you died and respawned, you blew up immediately. And we used to all look at each other's screens to the point where one of us was like, I think we were really drunk, but one of us was like, "Here's what we got to do. We got to erect this like cardboard wall in the middle and up and down." And then there was a bed in somebody's dorm. We put 2 stools up on the bed. So you had to sit on the bed under this blanket with this piece of cardboard underneath you, so you couldn't see the screen below. And then on the bottom floor, where 2 of us would sit on the floor, there'd be cardboard down there in between us all. So everybody had their own little cave to play the game.
Yeah, I think you were definitely drinking.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. That's the elaborate construction of a
so
person.
our favorite stage in GoldenEye was the facility, right? And the facility had main areas like there was the science area where just scientists were just like, "Oh, we're working on these bats," and then there was the bathroom, which was just like every time you saw like blue or the bathroom door, you're like, "Oh, he's in the toilets. I know. I want to go kill him. That's where the RCP-90s are and all the grenades and stuff like that." So we would just you would just look at people's screens and track exactly where they were. And once you took that away, it made like the most fascinating experience, which I know
was
like
tense and lonely and
it was like playing GoldenEye online, but then also there was like the added pressure of like, is this dude in a stool on a bed gonna fall on top of me?
Yeah, if somebody
holding a 40 ounce.
I feel like that's a situation where if somebody farts, you wind up killing one of your friends and breaking your TV.
Yeah,
like just this, everything comes down. That's awful.
But it was also like it was super weird to explain to people. And the cool thing was a lot of us were in committed relationships, so we weren't.
I'm just
really
imagining the idea of a girl walking
in
and just being like, "Nope."
Well, people would come in and be like, "Oh, what are these guys doing? I'm gonna go check out how. I'm gonna say what's up to Brian." They'd knock on the door and we'd be like, "Come in," and they'd come in and just be 4 dudes yelling under a sheet.
The sheets probably the best.
We're trying to create 2 separate Dutch ovens at once.
And we're just like, you just hear gunshots and the people go like, "Ah, da-na, da-na," and there's just like a big. It looked like one of those like Looney Tunes fights where like a bunch of animals get in a fight and every now and then a sword or a gun comes out or a fist. So yeah, I'm glad they made a game around that mechanic.
Bunch of cats in a bag. That sounds interesting. That's coming to PS4 and Xbox One on March 1st in North America and Europe. It's $15. Next up, there's Downwell. That's coming to PS4 and Vita. That was an iOS game?
iOS game. Steam,
Yeah, it was a rare Japanese indie game. It was like one dude in Japan made it. It's really cool. It's like it's a crazy shooter, procedurally generated a little bit like Spelunky, but you're always moving down. So you're constantly navigating this downwell. This.
Yeah, it kind of feels like Metroid meets Dark Souls meets Mr. Driller.
Yeah.
Like it's super weird like that. And when you die, you're kind of provoked to just restart and see how much better you can do. I played it on iOS a lot, and my biggest complaint is obviously that I'm swiping on a screen instead of using an actual context-sensitive button or anything like that, or a joystick, that novel, wonderful thing we use to play video games. So I'm super excited about this coming to PS4 and Vita. I don't really know how it's going to work on Vita. I wonder if it's if you'll have to turn the thing sideways.
I just thought about that.
To like just have this whole tunnel approach, because it is a very vertical game. So, but I have played games on Vita where you have to turn the system sideways. They don't always work super well, but I think with like a combination of like a shoulder button and using the D-pad on the bottom, this could totally work. Otherwise, it'll be cropped in the center like you're just looking at a postage stamp. Not super wild about that. On PS4 and a big screen TV, this could be even better. But this is a really cool game. This is perfect for these platforms.
Yeah, game's cool.
Get it off iOS.
Yeah. It's time for your favorite game show segment, Rapid Fire, with Brian, the Italian man, Altano.
That's right. Max and I came up with
what did I do?
What?
It's not even. We don't even say Brian.
Brian, the Italian man,
what
Altano.
Voice is that?
You just like yell people.
Come on down.
What, is that just
yell
white?
their
What is
nationalities?
that voice?
Yeah,
We've got all sorts of prizes to give away here.
No, you're going into the John Wayne voice.
Brian Altano.
Side note, Max and I came up with a good way to give away a prize in any giveaway, which is basically to say, to redeem your prize, head on over to Google/images and type in whatever you want. You get a picture and you can print it.
We're
If you
giving
want a
away
pizza,
free
anything you-
posters of Natalie Portman. Just go to Google Images and search Natalie Portman.
HQ if you want to print them real cool, or small if you just want a real blurry picture.
Or
of
a
Natalie
pictures
Portman.
of Natalie Portman's headquarters.
I was
Anyway,
trying
every week we go on the Podcast Beyond Facebook group and we ask you for your questions, and then I answer them here, and we try to get them real quick. Just like Christian Gwilliam said, that's a cool name. Which game do you love the most that people seem to hate? Krupa, let's start with you. Do you have one?
Spider-Man games.
Just in general?
Yeah, people kind of rag on them, but I used to enjoy missions are rubbish, but I like just swinging around the city for 20 minutes.
Are you talking
relax,
about like the 3D?
decompress at the end of the day?
Yeah.
The 3D games, right?
Yeah, the 3D games,
Okay.
kind of like the PS2 ones after the movie.
Yeah,
Like, I
'cause-
got Spider-Man. I kind of just enjoyed just going around New York, big open world cities.
Spider-Man's one of those characters that never really worked in 2D games, and yet we got 2D games based on Spider-Man for like
Yeah.
15 years before
There's
the
so
first
many.
3D ones. There's
Yeah.
so
Weird.
many of
And
them.
that was before like the cartoon show or the
Yeah.
movies. They were just like, yeah, Spider-Man, why not?
And it's just like I don't know if it broke the illusion playing the Spider-Man 3D games where you would shoot a web into the air or a rope and not see where it actually connected. It just connected like the sun. And I remember being up by the Empire State Building and shooting out a web and being like, what am I even?
Nothing
there
is
a
taller than
blimp?
this.
Well, so there was a weird kind of like rise and fall of Spider-Man games where
Yeah.
there was that amazing Spider-Man one that came out
Shattered Dimensions?
before that. It was like the very first one that came out in 3D, and that came out.
Spider-Man 2 was the first. Like
No,
Spider-Man.
the very first. There was
Oh.
Amazing Spider-Man, like not the
PS1?
movie series,
Oh,
but like
okay.
PS1,
Right, okay.
Dreamcast era. And then we started getting movie tie-in
Yeah.
ones. And
Right.
I think the first one was like iffy, so-so, licensed trash, whatever. And then there was Spider-Man 2, which everyone really, really enjoyed, just swinging around, you're delivering pizzas and stuff. And then there was, I think, Spider-Man 3, and that started kind of falling
Shattered
apart.
Dimensions, which people kind of like, where you had the alternate universe, you had the kind
Yeah.
of
Right.
noir Spider-Man. That was
Yeah.
actually pretty good. It had quite a cool graphical style for
Yeah.
different
Yeah, that was an
versions.
awesome idea for a game.
Then there's Edge of Time, which was like, I think that was one of the very first reviews I ever did for IGN, which was just basically a game cobbled together from offcuts.
Yeah.
Like, it was so repetitive.
So weird.
Wasn't
There
that-
was Ultimate too. There was an Ultimate.
Ultimate Spider-Man came out.
Ultimate
That was one that came out, I think, after the movies, but it was based in the comics, and
Yeah.
that was all cell shaded. I remember being really interested in that, but
Right.
never checking it out.
Yep.
I don't know if it was any
Gameloft
good.
made a bunch of them for like iOS and mobile and Android that like look like the ones we played on consoles a few years back, but they're a little more cel shaded and cartoony. None of them are really great. Like it's just such a weird franchise. It's just
Yeah.
I remember that first Spider-Man game on PS1 was Neversoft did it on a year off from
oh
Tony
yeah,
Hawk.
that's right.
Yeah, really weird.
That's right. Was Spider-Man ever playable in Tony Hawk?
Yes,
Am I
Tony Hawk
crazy?
2.
Yep. Yeah, he was,
Absolutely.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, and then Wolverine was Tony Hawk 3.
Okay.
That's right.
Great. Well,
Yeah,
good.
I-
I'm glad
I
we. What?
He answered the question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about
Not
you?
very rapid fire, but
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a stupid name. Brian, what about you?
A game that I love that most people seem to hate. I really liked PN03.
Oh yeah.
You guys remember that one?
Yeah,
Yeah,
for
it was-
GameCube. That was one of the Capcom 5 that only 3 came out.
I totally understand why it's not good.
Yeah.
Totally understand why people hate that game, but it's basically like an arcade shooter where instead of a ship you play as a girl who just shakes her butt, and she's got a really good butt.
What?
You've never played this game?
No.
You would absolutely love this game.
She has this
Probably.
thing where
and you unlock different costumes.
I'm a
that are-
simpleton.
And
Yeah.
she's like listening to this like sort of like EDM techno music, and she moves to the beat,
Yep.
and you sort of like want to move to the beat to dodge. Like it was a really interesting combat mechanic.
Yeah, and it's not a great game,
No, not
but
at
there's a lot of good ideas there, and you're a girl with a great butt and you fight robots. Like it's pretty much all I want in a video game sometimes.
All right.
You
Marty,
guys?
Marty, what about you?
What?
You're an idiot.
You're an idiot.
Thanks, man. I liked all those. I played every Square PS1 RPG, even though like 90% of them were bad.
Yep.
Like Saga Frontier and Brave Fencer Musashi and Front Mission. There was just a lot of trash, and I played it all.
right.
I liked it.
I wonder why that was. Was there like an era where they're like it's really easy to make an RPG?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know. Square just had like unlimited, and then Parasite Eve, which wasn't good. Parasite Eve 2 was even worse, but
People
I still played
really
them.
love those games,
Yeah,
though.
we're all idiots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people haven't gone back to them in a while.
No. Oh, those games are real ugly.
Shouldn't Parasite Eve 2 have been called Parasite Day? Come on. Come on.
What's your favorite bad game, Max?
Uh,
Is it Color a Dinosaur for NES?
no, I like MotorStorm Pacific Rift.
You talk about that game so
I love
often.
that game. It's so
Is that game
stupid.
bad?
I don't know.
I don't think it's that
I
bad.
have no idea if that game is bad. You drive really fast until you explode.
That feels like a classic, like 8.1 at IGN.
That game is so exciting.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do I? Bad games. that's a tricky question because I don't know what's bad. You know, there's so many games I played growing up, and it's like, are these bad games?
No one was there to tell you. Like,
Yeah.
this is a
I mean,
bad
like
game.
as a kid, I loved that original Ninja Turtles game, which is just dreadful.
I played that
for
over the weekend,
NES, yeah.
and I got up to that underwater stage that everybody hates, and I'm like, this is not that bad. And I actually played it with save states, and I still ran out of time. And I'm like, now I know why people hate this thing.
Yeah.
It's not only impossible, but there's a timer on it, which is like, wait, really? Like you're rushing trash.
Yeah.
All right.
It's terrible.
Okay.
Alan Heinen says favorite shoe brand.
Did you say Alan Hyman?
Heinen. Yeah. Alan
Yeah.
Heinen.
Favorite shoe brand?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Converse?
Vans are comfy. Like if I want something, I just want to slip on real quick.
Yeah.
I wear a lot of Nikes and Guess. Like just, I like big kind of high shoes every now and then. I don't really get into like worker boots. I used to rock Carhartts when I lived in the.
What's a Carhartt?
You know what a Carhartt is?
It's
like
it's
construction workers'
deep
shit.
inside the engine. It's what makes the car
Yeah.
car's blood get to the tires.
I wore Timberlands when I lived in New York City, and it snowed just because it's like that's a cool like Wu-Tang thing to do.
Yeah, I can
you
see
actually
that.
have to because it's dangerous to walk around there. But
Yeah.
you can't really do that in San Francisco, where it's like today it's February, early February, and it's like summer outside.
Yeah. You get
Yeah.
a real deep sweat going on.
Yeah. What about you, Koopa?
I don't think I have that much loyalty to any particular shoe brand. I'd probably own more Nikes than anything else. So
Yeah.
that, I guess. I said premium on comfort.
Yeah.
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 Why
I
would
have
anyone wear
Brogues. I
uncomfortable
do
shoes?
have them.
Yeah.
I don't wear them that often.
Yeah.
I got some real weird fancy shoes, but I also got I got some Adidas that I got custom made. They do that thing where you can go on and make like custom colors and stuff. And I just made a pair that's all white, but they say embroidered "relax" on the side.
Which is like one
So,
of the
like,
most.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood edition sneakers.
It's probably the most straightforward thing you've ever done with the ability to fully customize something stupid.
Yeah, it's a good point.
Like a month later, you went and got you got
Oh, the Crown Royal?
Crown Royal bottle labels made that said, I eat hot dogs every dang day. I love hot dogs.
Yeah, they had a
Which is
free
like
offer.
that is 100% true, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's drunk with power.
I found
right
a special offer where you could get custom made Crown Royal labels. I don't actually drink Crown Royal, but
Yeah.
I was like, these are good stickers to have. So it just said, they were like, how many space? I think I filled up the maximum character limit. So it was, yeah.
Yeah, he was drunk with power, and he was also just very drunk.
Yep.
I eat hot dogs all dang day.
Davis Hagen says, "Are you classic pepperoni guys, or do you like weird stuff like cream cheese or spinach on your pizza?" Spinach,
yeah.
Brian loves pineapple on his
I
pizza.
hate pineapple on my pizza. I would actually divorce somebody that started doing that. If I came home and my wife was like, "I made you a nice pineapple pizza," like we would go straight to therapy. We've never been to therapy together. I should probably be going to therapy. Just myself. I don't like pineapple on pizza. Hi, everybody.
Brian Altano, grade 5.
What about you, Krupa? How's the pizza over there in the UK?
It's good. We have some good pizza. I'm pepperoni is my
Yeah,
favorite.
that's
It's my
a good way to
go-to.
go.
Mainly meat based. I wouldn't. That would be my default.
Yeah.
thing.
I feel like you guys don't go like we
Crazy.
go like just disgusting with
yeah.
food here.
You go. So
How's that
we
from
were
the
walking
outside
around-
looking in?
So we were walking around a shop the other day, like a food store, and like we have kind of a lot of the things you have, but you have 50 versions of each thing.
Right.
It's the kind of overwhelming choice of like flavors.
Which is weird, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
we'll
it-
have like 2 flavors. We have 2 types of M&Ms, chocolate and peanut.
Yeah.
And then you've got 20.
Yeah.
Well,
and
here
everything
they-
has a birthday cake variant.
Yeah.
everything like they use all these weird like
I
descriptors for
didn't know-
everything.
is that a flavor? Like, do you have a consensus on what birthday cake is?
No.
No,
But
I
it's
don't.
birthday cake flavored everything.
It's-
Yeah.
that's
What
just
is
crazy,
that?
That's a
right?
recent
Is that-
development.
Yeah.
What
we
is
go
that
through. So
flavor
we go
though?
through like I don't know. I think
Is it
I think it's
vanilla?
specifically
Chocolate?
funfetti. It's like vanilla cake.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah,
the funfetti.
it's kind of like
Confetti.
yeah.
That's when they take a bunch of
You've answered something.
they take a bunch of
with
sprinkles and
another
they throw it.
mystery
They
to me.
throw it in
Yeah.
the. It's a specific brand of garbage food.
Okay.
But it's like a bunch of rainbow sprinkles thrown into the mix, so it's got like little colored.
What do you
Growths.
what do you call sprinkles that you put on ice cream?
Sprinkles.
Sprinkles? Okay,
Yeah.
because there are people in America, in this country,
Don't get started.
No,
they
hundreds
call
and
them
thousands.
No, they call them Jimmies. What is hundreds and thousands?
that's right, yeah.
Actually, we would call them hundreds and thousands. But there's
What?
there's so
Yeah,
many
I've
terms.
heard
Those are just
that.
numbers.
There's so many American terms that because I was probably one of the first generations where I just grew up watching so much American. TV,
Yeah.
Kind of bilingual in that sense, but hundreds and thousands would be the traditional British term. There's not. I can count these. There's 47.
This is a blatant lie.
Wow.
Also,
Lying to
Jimmy's
children.
aren't Jimmy's condoms. I call condoms
people,
Jimmys.
you can call
Jimmy
You
hats.
get
Yeah,
put that on
Jimmy
your
hats.
ice cream.
Yeah,
can get
that birthday
condoms.
cake is just condom flavored ice
They call them
cream.
gummy
Your
ghosts a lot of
childhood's
places.
So sad. Mum, we didn't even get a clown.
Yeah, but it was
No,
very safe.
if you want to keep your popsicle from melting on a hot summer day, just put a nice Jimmy cap on there and
Yeah.
cover it up real good and tie
we
it off
do-
at the end so it doesn't leak.
We do a lot of weird stuff in this country. Like we put all these extra words on things. Like we're just instead of just being like cheese, it's just like Asiago zest. And you're like, what is that? And someone's like cheese. Like we just come up with these ridiculously long names, like Mountain Spring Crisp. Like what's that? It's just bubbly. Why don't you say that? Because people are dumb.
Yeah.
We gotta trick them.
Yeah, no, we noticed those weird trends though, where it's like it'll be birthday cake, it'll be red velvet, or it'll be like, oh, it's the like just the odd like, oh,
Yeah.
it's blood orange now. It's like, what's wrong with regular
Or like
orange?
there was
Why'd you
I like
gotta get
oranges.
violent?
Yeah.
Like, just
there was like 2 years of pretzel bun. Like everything was like on a delicious toasted pretzel bun. You're
Like, what is that?
what?
That's not what pretzels are.
Dutch
And, like,
crunch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now everything in October has pumpkins in it.
Oh yeah,
Everything.
Pumpkin spice.
pumpkin
Yeah.
spice is
Pumpkin.
Like a few
pumpkin
of those
jimmies.
things kind of like
Yeah.
trickle down and we get them. But like you can look at menus for like fast food joints in America or Starbucks. It's like 40 more versions of everything.
Well, Starbucks is just crazy, and Starbucks is basically
We
just
have
like
a very trimmed down menu. Like
Starbucks is basically a Haagen-Dazs and a Ben and Jerry's,
Yeah.
and then there's a guy in the corner that's like, I still make coffee. Like it's just a big funny dessert shop now.
Yeah.
Like they had like a turkey pulled pork sandwich for Thanksgiving. You're like, what?
oh, that's the thing. Everything needs to be pulled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you
Can we
get
not
the,
just
that's how
cook
you get
this?
the meat out of the
Can
pig.
we
You
not
pull on it.
roast
You just
it?
gotta tug on
Because
it.
you can't say
that
like
hog.
yanked or something like that, or like
I-
grabbed
Yanked
or
pork.
Let me get that
People have
yanked
stopped
hog
handled.
sandwich.
People have stopped enjoying chewing.
stretched.
They just want it.
Yeah. Just a paste.
Yeah, just
Pork paste.
paste.
Here, let me get
Inject
a
me with pork.
Yeah.
3
Pork
large
paste.
boluses of digestible pablum. Let me just cram that weird
And
foamy
finally,
crap down my throat.
Abraham Alvarez says, if you can remake any bad video game film adaptation and make it better, what would it be? This is a tough question because this is actually every video game film adaptation.
That's true.
Literally everyone has been bad in some way. Some have been better
Yep.
than the bad ones, but they're still not great.
Remember those scenes in House of the Dead that actually went to the arcade game footage during a gunfight?
Is that true?
Yeah.
Really?
Really bad. Yeah. During a gunfight, it cuts to in-game footage of the, like awful House of the Dead one. It's really bad.
Wow.
That sounds really
Did
avant-garde.
anyone actually make it through the Doom movie?
Yeah, I remember the first person scene.
Yeah.
That was the
There
only
was
thing I
one
remember. from
scene,
it.
right?
Yeah, there was one entire action scene that was first person.
And people were like, "That's amazing. They did it."
You did a Doom. Good job, Rocky Maivia.
You glued the gun at the bottom of the camera and ran around and shot a Photoshop demon for
Yeah,
half an hour.
it was really impressive.
I hated that movie. So I never saw that movie. That was the first thing that came out where I was just like,
Critic Max.
no,
Scoville.
like seriously, why even call it Doom? Like I
Yeah.
remember being so mad about that. It's like, oh, we've decided to remain faithful to the core property by having a 2-minute scene that's in first person about this story where the gateway to hell is opened up on Mars, but we're going to have it be science experiments escape on the moon. Like
Do you know what the process of adaptation is? Like,
That's a good point.
Yeah.
No film based on the book is the 20 minutes of text on screen.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, I will read this chapter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
So is
like,
everyone done with this page? Right. Okay.
but I mean, like taking the core elements of just, I mean, like I would love to see a Doom movie done right, where it's like, guess what? We did weird satanic experiments on a Mars colony, and it didn't work out
Yep.
too well.
Yep.
Satan's a cyborg for reasons we're unclear of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all things considered, the one that got the closest is probably Mortal Kombat, and that's because the source material is not that intellectual to begin with. But I would love to see a remake of the original Mortal Kombat movie that is just super gory. Like,
Yeah.
just go really hard R.
There was
and
that
just,
web series a couple years ago.
right,
Remember that?
which is pretty
Yeah.
close,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The Super Mario Brothers movie is obviously one that's just like, I don't know what happened there. That is so far off the mark of the source material. It's basically like DeviantArt.
They got Shy Guys in there. They drive a dump truck.
Yeah, it's so
I mean,
weird.
that was pretty
like,
much the moment when Nintendo was like, "All right, well, no one's touching our things ever again."
ever again.
Yeah.
yeah. I think that movie just put them in the corner
Yeah.
for so long.
And then there are always those rumors of like John Woo was attached to a Metroid movie for a
Yeah.
while.
Wasn't there a
and then-
Ratchet and Clank movie in the works?
Yeah, it's coming out in like a month.
Is that still for real?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
There was the Uncharted movie that got kicked around for a while.
Do a new Tomb Raider movie based on the new
Totally.
Tomb Raider games. Like
That'd be
that
awesome.
Also, you
style
could
of-
just cast
awesome.
her.
While they
Camilla
prevaricate
Waddington.
on what they're doing
Yeah.
with Indiana Jones, is a really good window for them to make that movie.
Yep.
And like basically like gazump Uncharted if it ever happens.
Yep.
Do it before Indiana Jones come back in whatever form.
Well,
it comes
also
back in.
now in like 2016 or whenever this movie would come out, like the fact that stuff like The Hunger Games and Episode 7, like you can have these rad like female-centric
you
movies.
can
And
literally cast the woman who plays
Camilla Waddington.
Yeah.
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 She's amazing.
Yeah, she'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Street Fighter. Like they've done 2 Street Fighter movies. I mean, live action, and they've both been pretty stupid. The first one's
There were 2 live action.
there's a second one that came out with Kristen Kruk. What's her face?
Oh,
yeah.
that's
The
right.
The Legend of
The-
Chun-Li. Yeah.
That's right, the Chun-Li movie. I totally forgot
And
about
that's
that
one
one.
of those movies where you have to basically go through the cast to figure out who's supposed to be playing what character.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's like, there's like, oh, that's Balrog in the background there, hiding behind that trash can or whatever.
Yeah.
You're like, why not just actually make it about the characters? But
Were
I feel
they
like,
cameos or like nods?
I mean,
was it
there's scenes like in the
like a guy picks up his boxing gloves and you're like, that's
I
Balrog.
forget exactly. It's
Yeah.
it's definitely like they didn't have any of the weird fun charm of Street
Yeah.
Fighter. But I'd love to see a movie where it's like, yeah, this is about a world where international terrorism is dealt with kung fu.
Yeah.
Like all of the wars
Well,
are fought in the streets.
Like, it's really weird that we
fighting.
got, you and I were talking about this on Up at Noon, but we got that first wave of really bad comic book movies back in the day. And then the last 10, 15 years have been like, let's get this right this time. Let's actually get in there and let's do the right version of this movie and this movie, this movie. That hasn't happened with video game movies.
But like you could argue that we're on the cusp. But
Yeah. I mean-
there's films in production,
Like
one
Assassin's
coming out
Creed.
this
Warcraft
year,
and Assassin's
like,
Creed
that-
especially.
2 of the best directors yet attached.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
so far there's been a lot of crappy movies. On the whole, the talent involved in terms of writing and direction haven't been at that top level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
but-
you Bull or whatever is not,
Yeah.
he's hiding in his boxing ring or whatever, surrounded by sharks.
weird
I don't
man.
know how that guy sleeps.
So what are you guys hopeful for Assassin's Creed?
Yeah, I mean, I saw Macbeth, that adaptation.
Visually
It was
stunning.
incredible.
Yeah.
It was like it was one of the most gorgeous Shakespearean adaptations I've ever seen. And
I mean, I think the more Assassin's Creed leans on being just a gorgeous period piece, and the less it's like, I mean, if they do the future stuff where the guy goes
absolutely
in
has
the
the future
memory
stuff.
tomb, yeah, that sucks. Like, I'm sorry, that stuff doesn't work well in the game, and it's going to work even worse in the movie.
I think it'd be work much better in the
You think
the
so?
movie. Yeah, I think that kind of
think
stuff
so.
lends itself to more straightforward linear
Because you don't have to
narrative.
walk around Datadyne or wherever.
And to take, for a lot of people, that's going to be their first experience of that world
Yeah.
and that conceit. I remember playing the first Assassin's Creed game. That Desmond stuff in that first game wasn't boring at all. I didn't find it. I was like, what is actually going on? And there's actually, in the years since then, there's never been a substantial payoff to make that feel
Yes.
retroactively satisfying.
Yeah.
You look back and go, they never really...
Well, the best thing they've done with it in the last few years has been to preemptively tell the audiences that there's not as much
Forget
in
about
it.
it.
Yeah.
in this game.
Syndicate goes
Yeah.
basically directly cut, like breaks the fourth wall, going,
Yeah.
can we stop doing this stuff?
yeah, yeah.
And they just
Totally.
cut right to it, which I
Yeah.
think, like, and I guess you're right, Max, in that like if you start the movie showing this stuff, it could be pretty cool.
Well, an Assassin's
and-
Creed movie that uses the weird time travel ancestor stuff,
Yeah.
it'll basically be just like a present day Matrix,
I
where
mean, that's
people
what
in present day are
Fassbender
traveling
yeah.
back
Yeah,
in
it's
was
time.
literally
said
just
it-
quoted in Empire as saying that, like,
Yeah.
Matrix is an inspiration.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think the better part of that too is that it'll be
Avatar.
a scene on a
Stop talking about Avatar.
It'll be a scene on a screen that happens that you don't have to actually control. Like when you're watching a movie, you'll be like, well, that's a scene and that's a scene. And one was more exhilarating than the other. But when you're playing the future stuff or the modern day stuff in Assassin's Creed, like you don't have any of the skills of your old character. Like you might climb up on a box or a crate or like a wall every now and then, but you're like, it's just not the same. Put me back in the ancient times.
Yeah.
The film I really want to see, and they've gone really quiet on it, is the Splinter Cell movie with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
But like,
Is that
that's
still
gone
happening?
really quiet. I think
There's-
a lot of it will hinge on Assassin's Creed. whether
There are
they-
so many movies. Like I'm putting together a feature of video game movies in development right now.
Right.
There are so many
Just
things
Cause?
that were announced. Just Cause, Mass Effect, Gore Verbinski's BioShock.
I want a Far
Thief.
Cry movie.
Thief.
Well,
There was a
Witcher
Far Cry
just got
movie.
a
announced.
lot of the kind of
There
Square
was a
Enix, Square Enix rights are owned by this guy called Adrian Ascaraya,
Yeah.
who came in to the London office and we talked to him, and he's not adverse to the idea of having a Square Enix shared movie universe,
Right.
where you could have just Cause exist in the same world
This
as
Deus
Hitman.
Ex. Yeah.
Yep. And Deus Ex is the future of that world, and
Oh,
Thief
weird.
is the prequel
Yeah.
to that world.
And I mean, Call of Duty's about to have its giant cinematic universe, whatever the
Yeah.
hell that means.
The CODC.
So weird.
Kodku.
COD.
Yeah, I mean, Far Cry is a thing that if you made a movie of that and you adapted something that already exists, it would be weirdly kind of meta derivative because those games
Yeah.
are already drawing from stuff. Whereas each one, none of them are related. The whole thing is that they're open world games based in an open world. So what's the point? You know, why bother making a game of that? Like if you made a Far Cry 3 movie, it would be The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of it
100%.
already. They already did that.
pretty good.
I always think about like the way the first Die Hard was made, where it was just a book that had nothing to do with Die Hard. It wasn't called Die Hard, and they just adapted it and made a new film, and they put Bruce Willis in it. I think that's the way a lot of video game movies should be made.
Yeah.
Like they should kind of be like, well, we have this movie that's kind of like Die Hard, can it be called Splinter Cell? And it's about this guy that sneaks into a building and
Have you
kills
seen
1,000 people.
Sicario?
Yeah,
The end of that movie is the Splinter Cell movie. I want to say
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Benicio del Toro infiltrates the house.
Yep.
That's exactly that movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just do that.
Yeah, man, that was a powerful scene.
All right. On that note, we're gonna wind things down. But thank you all for joining us and for hanging out and
Did you
listening
draw a
to
bunch
us.
of genitals on your paper?
No, I drew a bunch of weird squiggles.
Alright.
I wasn't really feeling drawing much today. I just drew some weird. They're not supposed to be genitals.
yeah, a
but
lot of
they-
these look like Jenny's.
Oh yeah, I
Whatever
suppose they
yours
do.
looks like.
I drew some reproductive organs. If you'd like to see reproductive organs, go check out Google Images, and good luck with that. You can find me on Twitter. I'm Max Scoville. Marty is McBiggities with 2 G's and 2 T's. Brian is Agent Bizzle. Krupa, what's your Twitter
At
handle?
Krupa.
At Krupa, Krupa.
I stole it off an Indian man.
Nice.
He had it for years. He had Krupa is also an Indian name,
Uh-huh.
as well as a Ukrainian name, and he had this handle for ages. Never tweeted, followed nobody, was followed by nobody. I eventually got his handle.
Did you
Nice.
follow him first?
No.
I mean, how did you get his handle? How do you get someone's handle?
I spoke to someone at Twitter. I was like, oh,
Oh my god!
Nice.
he's like, I was like, well, he's not using it.
I'm gonna get at POTUS. Must speak to my buddy at Twitter.
The
POTUS
Po-
is the president of the
POTUS
United
I
is
think
States.
facing
if,
his-
like, if it's
Yeah,
an
I'll grab it.
inactive account, you can make a claim for it.
This was the olden days, though, right?
Oh, it's the Wild West. Like,
Yeah,
it was
it's totally different now.
brutal.
Very
And then sometimes, this is the sad thing, occasionally I'll get an email of like someone trying to log into it. Oh. It's like, oh, you requested
Use it
your
or lose
password.
it. Sorry.
Yeah, you gotta
Sorry
use
about
it.
that.
Oops. Swooped.
Well, there's that. Go follow him because
Cool.
it might be taken away at
That's
any
a
day.
good
now.
origin story. I like
I
that.
might wrest it back.
Yeah.
Get in there before that man returns.
You've got your own set of podcasts you appear on, right?
Yes, we do the IGN UK podcast, which we need to rename because it's like a show on site, and then people are very like, no, you have to call it a podcast, but we can't think of a good name that's not just some crappy British cringe title. But I also do a superhero show every week and a Star Wars thing, Rebel Base, which is now available as a podcast.
Nice.
Cool.
Well, go check that out.
Yeah.
And the rest of us, you can find us where we usually are. This stupid, smelly room. Yep. Brian comes in here with
really
weird
warm.
oils.
Yeah, it gets
What
real
oil?
bad.
I don't have
Weird
oils.
oils.
Yeah, you
Not
do
any
have a lot of
Yeah,
oils.
weird oils.
The hell are you
I feel
talking
like
about?
You
Weird-
oil up before
Yeah.
you get in here.
Get all
Oil
the-
up before I get in.
Yeah,
It
you-
gets very warm in here.
You have a lot of
Smell
rings.
like-
You bring
yeah.
a bunch of trinkets into the
I
room.
don't have a lot of rings. I'm married. I have
You get all
one
those
ring.
weird bead necklaces.
Yeah.
You're trying to
I would never wear a bead
Just a bunch
necklace.
of weird.
You brought a
come
bunch
in-
of. You brought a dream catcher
Try to
into the
sell
room.
You
Let's-
guys are the type of dudes that go to like jazz
to-
music festivals and
trying
junk
to
like
sell
that.
me a hammock.
Eat
Yeah.
pretzels.
I don't want to buy a hammock, Brian.
All of you disgusting, patchouli ass hippies,
Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next time.
cauliflower ass pizza bitch.
Stop calling me that.